Yo, what up, chat? We're reacting to the real reason modern games suck.
Why is the Kiriko's
Why do they suck?
leisure skin considered legendary? The only real difference is her jacket for 19
My fault.
US
I need to go to sleep.
dollars.
Modern gaming is dying, and what killed Overwatch 2 is the same virus killing most of your favorite games.
Okay.
Right now, over 25,000 developers have lost their jobs, and the industry is losing more talented people by the day. Paying full price for a game doesn't get you what you were promised anymore.
No.
EA is releasing the same
game
game
is done.
every year
Your
and
job
charging
here is
more
done.
for it.
Get out. You're low fee.
Ubisoft has completely lost its creative freedom and pushes safe formulaic games nobody asked for, and studios are blaming you for their failures. You've already seen the pattern. The enshittification of modern games is real, and it's only about to get worse with the rise of private equity buying companies. But to understand how modern gaming became a parody of itself, you have to go back to the era that changed the industry forever. Because this story weirdly starts with the PS2. Growing up in the PS2 era was what many considered the best time to be a gamer. Games like Kingdom Hearts, Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, Jack, and Daxter.
When every game didn't have to be a groundbreaking cinematic masterpiece.
They just needed to be fun. Games were relatively cheap to make. Naughty Dog built the first Crash Bandicoot for $1.7 million. When the price of failure is that low, studios will try anything. You want to mash up Final Fantasy with the Disney universe and send a kid swinging a giant key at Hades? Sure. That idea literally
Kingdom Hearts
started from a chance meeting in an elevator between a Square exec and a Disney exec who happened to share the same building.
After Kingdom Hearts 2, it just felt like too little kiddish. So like, I didn't really finish it.
Which is comprised of 20 shards in total.
The PS2 couldn't do photorealism. The hardware wasn't there, so studios had to get creative with art styles, mechanics, and tone. Limitation breed creativity, and you could feel it in every game on that shelf. Even the garbage was fun. THQ pumped out hundreds of licensed tie-in games for every cartoon and movie that got moderately popular. SpongeBob, Jimmy Neutron, The Incredibles. Most of them were terrible, but buried in that pile, you'd find one of my favorite games,
The Simpsons Hit and Run,
which was essentially a silly GTA clone. These studios weren't scared to test crazy ideas.
Silly GTA clone.
This is Expedience Gym Monster 2.
And if you're not
what were you thinking, bud?
Now compare that to today, and you'll start to see a wide difference. The Last of Us Part 2 cost $220 million to develop. For context, this single game alone cost more money to create than some of the most critically acclaimed movies in the world. Interstellar, Top Gun Maverick, Inception, and Dune Part 2. For a game that many described as a glorified walking simulator.
I still gotta watch Dune 2.
Bandicoot cost $1.7 million. The
was
Last of Us 2 cost
years ago.
$220 million. Today, some high-budget games have blown past $660 million to make.
Sorry, 220 million today will be like what? $2.21 like in 1960?
And another $550 million just to market. And when you sink that much money into a game, one bad release can bury an entire studio. So nobody takes any chances. You greenlight the sequel, copy the template, build the same open world with a slightly different skin, and kill any opportunity to create something groundbreaking. And nobody has perfected that formula than Ubisoft. There was a time when Ubisoft was one of the most daring studios in the...
I'm sorry. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That's my... I didn't play all of them. That's the best one for me. Which one is yours? If any. Let me know in the comment section.
Industry. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory scored a 94 on Metacritic. Prince of Persia reinvented action-adventure. And Assassin's Creed 2 pulled a 91 and turned a shaky first game into one of the biggest franchises on the planet.
Okay. Splinter Cell?
Then the open worlds got bigger, and the games inside them got smaller. Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Watch Dogs. In the last 20 years, only 4 Ubisoft games have scored 90
Oh my god, there's so many like awesome games out there,
or higher on Metacritic. And the last one came out over 15 years ago.
Just playing
Experts
Siege
ran the data
Siege
and called them the least consistent major project. It's become so bad that people hear the name Ubisoft attached to a game and automatically assume it's bad.
Watch Dogs Legion, the game everyone hated, its first
Maybe
downfall
not.
was the amount of
All the
bugs,
time.
frame rate drops, and overall horrible performance that rendered the game worse than
Back when Far Cry 6 came out, I only played it for like an hour and then I completely forgot about it.
Skull and Bones, for example, was a pirate game first announced in
Really?
2017, delayed for years, reworked multiple times, and finally launched as a live service game.
If you enjoy boring, pointless grind fests with very little story.
Alright, there's a lot of negativity around video games to this video. Yo, the real reason modern games suck. Alright, makes sense. Go
Then
ahead.
this game is for you.
They took one of the coolest pitches in gaming and turned it into a content treadmill. The real problem is that Ubisoft built
What
a
game is
massive
this?
fan base, but that audience grew up with a different version of the company. The one that took risks and made games people actually remembered. That kind of loyalty has a shelf life, and it's starting to
Far
run
Cry.
out. As one player put it, Ubisoft has done this for years. It's why I don't buy their games anymore. Imagine a world larger than life, exceeding anything reality could ever
What?
offer. A world on Earth without loot boxes, glitches, and rage. Simply sensational. But one problem, everyone there speaks only Japanese except for you. Well, that's where Migaku comes
What
in.
did she just say?
Instead of textbook exercises, you learn through
mama,
content you
mate.
actually want to watch. Anime, dramas, YouTube videos, and
I just
Netflix
said I'm-
shows. Migaku sits
JK.
on top of whatever you're watching and makes it interactive. You see a word you don't know, you click it, and you get an instant breakdown. Meaning, pronunciation, and context. One more click, and it's saved as a flashcard with the full sentence, the
Is this a
audio,
game?
and the translation.
Are you
pulled
promoting
straight
something?
from the source. The flashcard system uses spaced repetition, so you're reviewing words at
Migaku.
exactly the right time.
優しい先生は優しい人だ
There's also a live
Yasasi-san.
translator built into the toolbar and an OCR
Okay, that was my
feature
fault,
that lets
my
you
fault,
scan
I
physical
was a little
text
too good
with
at
your
that, my
camera
fault.
and turn it into study material. If you want something more structured, they have in-depth courses, and the Japanese one is especially
Hey, bud, are you promoting something or this is a game?
solid. It covers everything from hiragana and katakana all the way through to grammar and vocabulary. With over 380 essential grammar patterns and access to 80% of the most commonly used words on Netflix.
He just
Each
integrated
lesson
it to-
only introduces one new concept at a time, so it never feels overwhelming. One subscription gives you access to every available language, and it works on your
mean,
phone too. They're
I'm
currently
reacting to-
offering 50% off a
to his,
lifetime
video.
subscription or an extra free month for
Learn
both the standard
Japanese
plan
in 1
and
week.
early access plan to all internet education.
I'm a Migaku.
units. Click the link now in the description to try
I don't
out
know what I
Migaku
said.
and back to the video.
I should probably buy
After
that.
Star Wars Outlaws launched to lukewarm reviews and disappointing sales,
Disappointing sales? What? I want to play this game, but I'm not. Yo, whoever played the Star Wars Outlaws, yay or nay?
Ubisoft's stock crashed to a 10-year low. Then Ubisoft figured out they could ship safe formulaic games instead, and the fan base would still show up for a while. Then the rest of the
Okay.
industry realized
Makes
something
sense.
worse. You don't even have to finish a game before you ship it. You just needed to hype the imaginary features. You could see this starting with Hitman in 2016. When it launched, you bought it at full price, installed it, and got ready to play. And you found one level, one mission in Paris. That's it. The rest of the game would come later, in episodes, whenever IO Interactive felt like releasing them. IO pitched Hitman as a truly episodic game experience and a living game that will expand and evolve over time, and players hated it. They tried to sell the idea that it was an ever-expanding world of assassination built to keep growing content, but in reality, it was simply an incomplete game they wanted to sell for a full price. The backlash was so bad that the parent company Square Enix dropped the studio entirely in an effort to save the franchise. But Hitman was nothing compared to Cyberpunk 2077. The game had years
Is
of hype
this
around.
guy-
Parent company Square Enix dropped the studio entirely in an effort to save the franchise.
You're a
Hitman was
You're a hitman, bro.
nothing compared.
Is he hiding a gun inside his shirt, about to murder this woman, or is she his secretary or something? Please tell me this gun is not under his tuxedo. Nah. It can't be. It can't be.
To Cyberpunk 2077. The game had years of hype around it. Keanu Reeves even came on stage at E3. Every trailer made it look like the future of gaming. Of
He's
course,
in Cyberpunk,
millions
right?
of people pre-ordered it, and when you finally loaded it up on your PS,
I wonder how much we made out of it.
It was barely playable. Crashes, missing features, and bugs that
I remember this. I'd never played it, but I just remember everybody ranting. Yo,
made you question why you even bought the game in the first place.
The bugs were ceaseless, mostly non-game-breaking animation fuck-ups and voice lines not playing, but every now and again I'd have to reload a save because I accidentally crossed a cutscene trigger while grabbing an enemy, and I'd come back from the loading screen with my head jammed up their ass, like the result of some Cronenberg-esque teleportation accident.
And CDPR knew it would be like this. Leadership admitted they ignored signals the game wasn't ready on last-gen hardware and pushed it out the door anyway. They ignored the problems and made sure gamers couldn't find out about them before they paid. Every review copy sent before launch was PC only. Not a single reviewer got a PS4 or Xbox One version. And the reviewers who did get PC copies weren't allowed to show their own footage. They had to use companies' hand-picked promotional clips instead. YouTuber SkillUp straight up refused, saying, "Reviews should not be vehicles for rolling out more marketing material, so I'll put my review up when I'm able to show you the reality of the game with my own footage." By the time anyone could actually see what the console versions looked like, the money was already in. Sony pulled Cyberpunk from the PlayStation Store and started offering refunds, something that had basically never happened before. Investors filed a class action that settled for $1.85 million. But the pre-orders had already done their job. That's the dark side of pre-orders. They grab your money before you can see what you're buying, which means the studio has zero reason to make sure the game...
Also, Cyberpunk was like super hyped. I remember it was like the neon colored Grand Theft Auto
game actually works on launch day. You're paying to be a beta tester, and they're charging you full price for the privilege. Studios had figured out they could ship broken games and still turn a profit.
Who made Cyberpunk? What a developer?
Some went even further and realized they could ship the same game
CD
every
Projekt
single
or something,
year.
right?
The Last of Us
like
came out in 2013, and it was one of the greatest games ever made. A year later, Sony released The Last of Us Remastered for PS4. Same game, slightly prettier, new price tag. The justification was a new console meant people wanted to play it again, which sounded reasonable until 2022 when they released The Last of Us again, a full remake rebuilt from the ground up for PS5, and they charged $70 for it. The graphics were stunning, and the accessibility features were genuinely impressive, but the gameplay was barely touched. If you'd already played this game twice, you were now being asked to pay full price a third time for what was essentially the same experience.
Holy shit. I'm actually outside.
But it gets worse because at least with remakes, you can just buy them and own them forever. A luxury EA didn't give its players. If you've ever played Madden, FIFA, or NBA 2K, you already know exactly how this works. Every year, a new game drops at full price. The rosters are updated, the menus get a fresh coat, the game feels identical to last year. But the one thing that always works on day one without fail is the in-game store for microtransactions. EA has held the exclusive NFL license since 2004, which means if you want to play an official NFL game, Madden is your only option. Literally, no competition means no real incentive to improve.
That's a monopoly.
Players finally snapped with Madden NFL 21, which earned a 0.4 out of 10 user score on Metacritic, one of the lowest the site had ever seen. Fans even started the hashtag #NFLDropEA trending on Twitter, begging the NFL to drop EA and give the license to literally anyone else. But they didn't listen. EA later promised updates. Then they shipped Madden 24, Madden 25, Madden 26, and the same complaints kept coming.
The game fucking sucks. I'm sorry. The game's unresponsive, and it's kind of boring. Most of it is just so mid and mediocre that makes the game ass.
The NFL looked at the outrage, looked at the money, and renewed EA's deal anyway. NBA 2K runs the same playbook, but it somehow made it even worse.
Like, sports fans like their teams, right, or their sport, and if they want to play and not go outside, they're gonna buy the game either way.
You buy the game at full price, and your players are so downgraded
that makes sense,
that
right?
they're basically useless online. The only way to level up to compete with fellow gamers is to, you guessed it, open your wallet and buy visual currency to speed it up.
Is this an ad? Is this an ad? Where's the skip button?
A game that was supposed to be skill-based turned into a game that said F you for being poor.
Oh my... What?
You see that? You see that right there?
And then there's EA Sports FC, the game formerly known as FIFA. Same annual cycle, same monetization scheme, just a different name. The FC26 subreddit reads like a support group for people who keep hoping that the next one will be different. One user called it the worst football game of all FIFA. Paid €80. I really hope EA burns in hell.
All based on community.
That's real hatred.
Feedback. They are saying the right
against the
things,
game.
Ron. I don't know if I believe you. It does look exciting, doesn't it? But lads, we've been in this situation before.
They don't care about the product because they don't have a competitor. Nothing will ever change. When there is no competition, games stop being an experience.
Hashtag bring back FIFA Street, bro.
And simply become an annual subscription. Studios were recycling old games and releasing annual roster swaps with fancier storefronts. But some took it even further. They stopped caring about gameplay entirely and started building games that
I gotta
looked
play that
incredible
game, bro.
on the
It looks
outside
so cool.
and had absolutely nothing.
There's like 3
on the
game
inside.
titles already.
There's a game called Babylon's Fall that tells you everything you need to know about where the industry is heading to right now. It was made by Platinum Games, the studio behind Bayonetta and Nier Automata, two of the best action games ever made, and published by Square Enix. On paper, it should have been a hit. But instead of letting Platinum do what Platinum does best, they turned it into a live service looter with battle passes, premium currencies, and a seasonal content roadmap. They charged $60 at launch. And on top of that, the game was stuffed with free-to-play monetization.
We all
free-to-play monetization
for Babylon's tower to fall.
Skins? Babylon's Fall.
Everyone has the power to make it happen.
On launch day, the game peaked at fewer than 650 concurrent players on Steam. For context, Marvel's Avengers, another Square Enix live service game the company itself called a failure, launched with over 30,000.
Babylon's Fall. It sounds good. It looked good. What when the gameplay was? I don't get it.
Within 2 months, Babylon's Fall dropped to a single concurrent player. One person on the entire planet playing this game. And then it hit zero. Square Enix shut it down less than a year after launch. If you bought a physical copy, you now own a pointless plastic. Babylon's Fall is just the extreme version of something you can feel everywhere. Instead of trying to blow you away for 20 hours, games are built to keep you busy for 200. Daily login rewards, weekly challenges, seasonal battle passes, content dripped out over months. IGN ran a whole piece lambasting live service games, describing how every game now comes with its own battle pass and checklist that feels more like a second job than a hobby. Even the big single-player blockbusters have started chasing spectacle over substance. Budgets go to cinematic cutscenes and photorealistic graphics, while the actual moment-to-moment gameplay is thrown out the window. PS2 games couldn't do realism, so they had to be creative, and that creativity is exactly what makes them hold up decades later.
Understandable.
PS5 games can achieve realism, but ended up forgetting creativity in the process.
That's the beginning.
That's why so many modern games feel lame and boring. Games are being built around attention maxing, not around being fun anymore.
Who is that?
Once studios realized they could keep players hooked instead of letting you truly play, they discovered something even darker. They don't even have to let you keep the game. On March 31st, 2024, Ubisoft shut down the servers for The Crew, a racing game that had been out since 2014. The game had a full single-player campaign. You could drive across the entire United States, infiltrate street racing gangs, and do the whole thing solo. But Ubisoft had built the game to require an online connection at all times, even for single player. So when they shut down the server, the game just stopped working for hundreds of players. If you had a physical disc sitting on your shelf, it was now a plastic circle that did nothing. When people pushed back, Ubisoft's legal team made their position very clear. According to their own terms, when you bought The Crew, you weren't actually buying a game. You were purchasing a revocable, limited access license. In a lawsuit that followed, Ubisoft didn't budge because they argued you don't own the game and never did. So they had every right to take it away. After the shutdown, independent modders reverse engineered the crew and got it running again with custom server software. Offline play was always technically possible. Ubisoft just chose not to offer it. The backlash gave birth to something bigger. A YouTuber named Ross Scott launched the Stop Killing Games movement, demanding that publishers either release offline patches when they shut down servers or hand over the tools for the community to keep the game alive.
This isn't really about the crew or even Ubisoft. It's about trying to find a weak link in the industry so governments can examine this practice to stop publishers from destroying our games.
The campaign gathered nearly 1.5 million signatures across the European Union, enough to force the European Parliament to formally debate new laws around digital ownership. A parallel petition in the UK triggered a debate in Parliament.
Even though I won't play a dead game, you feel me? But like anything for gamers, but hey, like and subscribe.
For the first time, this was moving beyond gamers simply complaining online and turning into a legal fight. And then EA looked at all of this and just went full throttle. In early 2026, EA began shutting down servers across multiple games in what the community started calling the 2026 Digital Purge. Anthem went first on January 12th. That game was originally marketed as a 10-year journey for players. It lasted about 7, and because it has no offline mode whatsoever, shutting down the servers erased the entire game. The Sims Mobile followed on January 24th, NBA Live 19 on January 30th. Real Racing 3, a mobile game that had been running for 13 years, went down on March 19th. Some people believe the timing isn't a coincidence, that publishers are rushing to kill these games before Stop Killing Games legislation can actually take effect, clearing the board while they still legally can. Whether that's true or not, the message to players is the same. Anything you buy can disappear whenever the company...
It takes money and resources to like keep the service running, right? But no, wait, there's AI now.
Company decides it's not worth keeping alive.
These suits that are running
that works
don't give a damn about the games that are coming out. And by the time they run the organization into the ground, they're already jumping out of the burning plane with their golden parachute and they're perfectly fine. In a weird way, it kind of is up to the gamers to push back against these people.
We're back, baby. Come on, we here, we delivering. We got you. You want to hit?
Did NBA The Run? Did I just say bring back FIFA Street? NBA Street was dope too. Yo, this is NBA Street.
We got you. You want to be outside in legendary courts? We got you.
W.
They could take your games away and call it end of service. They could ship you broken products and call it early access. But to understand how the industry got this ruthless, you have to look at the company that wrote the playbook for all of it. It's November 2017, and Star Wars Battlefront 2 just launched. The game has loot boxes, which is already a red flag, but most importantly, it locked its most important character, Darth Vader. If you want to unlock Darth Vader without spending a dime, the community calculated you'd need roughly 40 hours of grinding. So you either give the game 40 hours of your life to unlock one skin, or spend $2,100 in real money to unlock all the content in Star Wars. When players flooded Reddit to complain, EA posted a response that would become legendary for all the wrong reasons. They said the grind was designed to give players a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. That single comment became the most downvoted in Reddit history, racking up over 675,000 downvotes and earning a Guinness World Record. The truth is, very few people are going to sink a full work week into this game, and you're hoping that somebody is desperate enough to buy credits to unlock the character. And this person was right. The backlash got so loud that Disney's CEO personally called EA to express his displeasure. EA pulled the microtransactions hours before launch, and Battlefront 2 missed its sales targets. But EA brought microtransactions back a few months later, just restructured around cosmetics instead.
To unlock a single hero, Darth Vader for example, players would have to grind for around 40 hours of in-game time. And that's just to unlock one hero.
Darth Vader.
Multiply this across every hero in the game, and it became clear that unlocking the full cast by just playing the game was simply impossible.
Because by that point, EA had already spent years perfecting the system that made Battlefront 2 possible. It started with FIFA Ultimate Team, where you buy randomized packs hoping to pull the best players. The packs reset every year when the new game drops, so your entire collection becomes worthless and you start over. The model was built under Andrew Wilson, who would eventually become EA's CEO, and it was obscenely profitable.
That's
At
crazy.
its peak, Ultimate Team alone was pulling in an estimated $1.4 billion a year. That's more than most publishers make from their entire catalog, all from randomized digital cards. Governments started paying attention. Belgium declared loot boxes were gambling and banned them outright. The UK Parliament called EA in to testify, and EA sent VP Kerry Hopkins, who delivered one of the most tone-deaf lines in gaming history. She told Parliament that EA doesn't call them loot boxes. They're surprise mechanics, she said, and compared them to Kinder Eggs, arguing that
we do think the way that we have implemented these kind of mechanics, and FIFA, of course, is our big one, our FIFA Ultimate Team and our packs, is actually quite ethical and quite fun.
Scottish MP Brendan O'Hara looked at her and asked, "You have no ethical qualms whatsoever."
Before or after the money? JK. What do you guys think about like loot boxes? I don't buy them. So
your loot boxes or surprise mechanics,
I don't want to spend money.
You have no ethical qualms whatsoever.
She replied,
"Oh my god, I buy R6 credits. No, I need help."
I think you're recharacterizing your language by the way we've implemented our FIFA Ultimate Team pack.
Accusing the MP of recharacterizing her language. And this is where the story gets darker, because the people getting hurt the most by these systems are kids. Jonathan Penniket, a teenager, spent £3,000 of his university savings on FIFA
Is
packs
FIFA ready to
while his
eat?
mother was being treated for cancer. Another parent shared that their 13-year-old had spent £6,000 on
Has to be.
FIFA during lockdown. These kids have no impulse control, and EA is relying on that to make more money. Research has found statistically significant links between loot box spending and problem gambling, with roughly 5% of buyers generating around half of all loot box revenue, overlapping heavily with at-risk groups.
Every day, people, including kids, are spending millions of dollars to open boxes just like this, all in the hope
That's
of
a box?
winning big.
The Sims
that's a
4 went
chest.
free to play, but if you actually want the full experience, the total cost of all the DLC sits at $1,473. Weather, pets, the ability to follow your character to work. These are features that were included in previous
What
Sims
the-
games, but in The Sims 4, they were stripped out
Follow
of the
your
base game
pet to
and
work?
sold back to you in
Hold on.
$10, $20.
Shut it. What the did you just say? Did they say this?
The total cost of all the DLC sits at $1,473.
Yeah.
Weather, pets, the ability to follow your character to work. These are features
Okay.
that were included in
Thank
previous
goodness.
Sims games. But in the
I thought it
Sims
said
4,
follow
they
your
were
pet
stripped out of
to
the
work.
base game and sold back to you
I'll be
in
like, what
$10,
the-
$20, and $40 chunks.
You gotta pay for that?
You
What?
can see why gamers are giving up on their favorite games. EA has a history of buying talented studios, extracting what they need, and shutting the doors when the numbers stop going up. Origin Systems,
Dooku.
Bullfrog, Westwood, Pandemic, Visceral, all gone.
Don't know
They
the
got
first
so
three.
evil that they won Worst Company in America in both 2012 and 2013, beating out actual banks during the financial crisis. And
Was-
none of the backlash slowed them down, because
They
none
beat
of
the
it hit the
banks
one thing
in
they
being the
actually
worst.
care about, the revenue line. EA destroyed studios that people loved. They built gambling mechanics into children's games and called them surprise mechanics.
I mean, gaming is a business, but like I get it. Like a lot of, they're being sold to gamers. So like gamers, like what the hell, bro? And there's a lot of gamers. So when there's backlash, yo, you got. Yeah.
And somehow, they were about to get even more powerful. There was a time when EA made some of the best games on the planet. If you had a PS2, you probably played Burnout 3. Takedown, the most
Ooh.
aggressively fun racing game ever made.
When you just, when you had to crash into the cars and make the most damage.
Or Need for Speed
Financially?
Underground, where you spent
That-
hours in the
that-
garage
that's
putting neon
Burnout.
under a car you'd never be able to afford.
That's Burnout. Alright.
Hey, yo, what the
Or Need for Speed Most Wanted, where the police chases
Underground.
alone were worth the price of admission. On the PS3 side, you had Dead Space, a survival horror game that genuinely terrified people, and Mass Effect, one of the greatest sci-fi RPGs ever written. These were complete games. You bought them and they were yours. You could play them until you were done. Then you moved on to the next one,
Mass
but
Effect?
always had the option of coming back to your favorites. That was the deal, and it worked. EA's founder, Trip Hawkins, started the company because he wanted to treat game developers like rock stars. He put their names on the box art. That was the original vision.
The foundation of the company was that software is an art form, and we're going to recognize the developer as a software artist or a digital artist.
And somewhere between then and now, that vision got fed into a spreadsheet
W,
and came
Reddit.
out the other side as a live service machine. Today, 73% of EA's total revenue comes from what they
Ronaldinho.
call live services. That's $5.46 billion out of $7.46 billion, mostly from loot boxes, microtransactions, battle passes, and ultimate team packs. The actual sale of the game, the thing you hand over $70 for, accounts for barely a quarter of what EA makes. The game itself is
Yo,
the
it's
fun.
Mortal Kombat
The story inside the
still,
game is
you
the
know,
real product.
still
Despite
it.
that growth, between 2023 and 2025, roughly 1,900 EA employees.
Yo, we have to take a little small break. Like, follow, subscribe, like, follow.
Employees lost their jobs while the company was breaking its own revenue records. The money was there, it just wasn't going to the people who made the games. And then came the buyout that locked all of this into place permanently. In September 2025, EA agreed to go private
gamer.
in a
I like every
$55
game, bro.
billion deal, the largest leveraged buyout in the history of
I'm
the
a
tech
gamer.
sector. The buyers were Saudi Arabia's public
gotta go to
investment
sleep.
fund, private equity firm Silver Lake, and Jared Kushner's Affinity Partners. In simple terms, private equity was
The
now buying an
conglomerate.
already notorious company and taking it off the market. What could possibly go wrong? Because when an investment fund spends $55 billion on a company, it has to be paid back over and over. Or people with a lot of power start asking ugly questions. Which means more microtransactions, more battle passes, more live service extraction, more layoffs to cut costs, and
That
zero
makes
room
sense.
for the kind of creative, single-player experiences that made people fall in love with.
Yeah, he has a point. It's like, it's pivoting, pinpointing towards more like, yo, we got to make this money back, bro. We just paid like 55 billion. B with a B. Hey, bud. Doesn't matter if the game works. Make the market work. All right, let's go.
EA in the first place. A game like Dead Space, which you buy once and never spend another cent on, becomes financially impossible to justify when you need to please your new masters. The buyout didn't just lock in EA's current aggressive strategy, it made room for so much more.
But then again, it might also lead.
Oh my god. That's crazy. I just thought, so like, wow. So if somebody buys like a game that you just buy once and that's it, they could buy it and make money out of it with microtransactions. Wow. I'm gonna become
more aggressive
a
monetization,
game buyer.
especially in the free-to-play
JK.
titles that we have, like maybe Skate or The Sims. It might also mean that smaller titles or maybe even indie titles that EA had published before might be cancelled or might not be published under EA at least.
EA built a machine that prints money by ignoring its players. Every franchise became an extraction tool, and every time gamers pushed back, studios didn't listen. They doubled down and blamed you. When Star Wars Outlaws launched in August 2024, players immediately ran into the same problems. Bugs, repetitive missions, and a stealth system that forced you into mandatory instant fail segments where getting spotted even once meant starting over from scratch. You couldn't fight your way out and couldn't brute force or improvise. You either played exactly the way the mission wanted or you were stuck.
You need to stealth around or just kill everyone, which causes your reputation to decrease even further. But this is actually one of the more impactful systems you'll encounter because of how much it impacts moment-to-moment gameplay.
Metacritic user scores landed somewhere between a 4 and a 6. The gamer called it trash. So when creative director Julian Garidy sat down for interviews after launch, you'd expect some acknowledgement.
Oh, it
Maybe
forces you to be
"We
stealthy?
hear you, we're working on it." Instead, he said he was a little
Some gamers don't
disappointed
like
with
that.
the Metacritic
No,
scores,
no.
but that players were really connecting with what we did. When asked specifically about the forced stealth, he defended it as core to the scoundrel fantasy they were trying to create. So when the game flopped commercially and Ubisoft stock cratered, CEO Yves Guillemot had to explain to shareholders what
It's like forcing somebody that likes run and gun games, forcing them to like play Snake Eater, Silent Snake, type.
went wrong. He didn't talk about the bugs, the stealth, the reviews, or the fact that players had been telling them for years to fix the issue. He blamed Star Wars.
Pirate Nation on X. Yves Guillemot says Star Wars Outlaws flopped due to declining interest in the franchise.
He told investors the brand was in choppy waters and pointed to Disney's underperforming shows like The Acolyte and Book of Boba Fett as the reason Outlaws didn't sell. In his version of the story, the problem wasn't the game, it was the Star Wars brand and the people showing up for it. And this is the pattern. Every single time, they ship a mediocre product and pretend they don't hear the players complaining. They insist that fans are really connecting with their creation. Then they watch the game flop and blame the IP, the brand, the timing, the audience, the alignment of the stars, and pretty much everything.
Yo, like, look at her hands and look at this massive helmet. Like, she just like made she like made him feel like a marshmallow.
Other than themselves. When
Like-
fans begged Ubisoft for an offline mode for the crew before the servers went dark, Ubisoft refused. When the legal fight started, their lawyers said you never owned the game in the first place. And that's the final insult. It's not just that these companies ship broken games, overcharge you, strip out features, and sell them back.
Wait, they should like, let's say they license it to you, it should be cheaper, but then if you want to own it, it should be $10 more. Wow. Will never happen.
Kill your games when they're done with them and flood everything with microtransactions. It's that when you tell them you're angry about it, they look you in the eye and tell you you're the problem. They stripped features out of your games and sold them back to you. They shipped you broken products and called you the beta tester. They took your money, shut the servers down, and told you that you never
Bring
owned the
back
game
Medal
in the
of
first
Honor.
place. They built gambling mechanics into games that children play, got dragged in front of Parliament, and called it surprise
Bring back
mechanics with a
Paragon.
straight face. And when you got angry, they looked
What
at their
the-
shareholders and said the brand was in choppy waters. And no, being angry is not irrational. It's the most rational response to everything the industry has become. Games used to be the place where a kid in an attic with a projector and a PS2 could forget that his world was falling apart. And right now, that feeling is being eroded for emptiness and microtransactions. If you made it to the end of this video, consider subscribing and hitting the like button to help the video.
Yo, what do you think about this? Is the gaming industry in decline? What the? Yo, don't forget to follow, like, subscribe. Follow, like, subscribe. You.